What are the essentials? Well, Puff Daddy is being sued by many people. We're going to focus on just one lawsuit by Mr. Jones, a music producer who worked with Puffy on his album. And he's charging Puffy with lots and lots of things. Recently, a Puffy associate, Brendan Paul, has been arrested for drug charges. And Jones charges that Puffy had him and other people procure drugs and sex workers. And apparently, he had to have Puffy's firearm on his body. Again, these are allegations. And most recently, Jones has added Cuba Gooding Jr. to his lawsuit. Now, where does Prince Harry come in? Well, again, Harry is named in the lawsuit. I want to stress there is no evidence per se that he's connected to what Puffy is being charged with. Basically, Puffy performed at a party with Harry. They've been photographed together. These are both enormous celebrities. Harry is into hip hop culture. Nothing too suspicious, but it could be something more devious, whether Puffy was trying to influence Harry, or even Harry's the victim here and he's just being manipulated by Puffy and perhaps other people, like Scientology, which we'll get to because there is a Scientology connection. So at this point, it doesn't look good for Puffy. I do think some of these charges have validity because we do have photographic evidence. But this is a male producer, and he's charging that Puffy was acting inappropriately around him as well as other people. And that Puffy has this kind of very weird drug, sex, kind of trafficking regime, and he was implicated in it against his will. We're going to have to wait and see whether Puffy can answer these questions, whether these charges can hold up legally. But where does Scientology fit into this? Well, and it sounds incredible. One of Puffy's lawyers is, yes, a lawyer who worked with Danny Masterson. And wouldn't you know, in several photographs, who does Puffy appear with? Danny Masterson, as well as Ashton Kutcher. Back in the day, Ashton and Puffy were very close. And so, given that Masterson was a friend of Ashton, you can imagine they do have several ties together. It gets even more bizarre because Puffy has also been photographed with Lily, and Lily is now a very vigorous anti Scientology critic. However, back then, she was a very loyal Scientologist. I want to be careful here, but it could be the church was trying to influence Puffy as well as the royal family. And this is just a neat trick because you don't have to be in Scientology proper. Look at somebody like Ashton Kutcher. He's definitely a Scientology ally. He just shows up at their weddings, he shows up at their charity events, so on and so forth. So there could be something more nefarious where Scientology was trying to control or influence the royal family via Puffy. And this is the kind of things they do for celebrities. If you want sex and or drugs or quote legal protection, that is what Scientology does for you. Again, it could just be a lot of coincidences that Puffy just has a lawyer who has worked with Scientologists. It's just a coincidence. She's a big time lawyer. Her name is actually Sean, so maybe a little confusing. But yeah, Sean Hawley is working with Puffy on this case and many other cases. So could just be a lot of coincidences, or it could be a lot more sinister that Scientology has been trying to recruit Puffy and or Prince Harry and is using this to sort of have leverage on him because whatever you want to say about Scientology, they do try to control celebrities and have a lot of influence by blackmailing them with a lot of information. So it could be they were aware of all these things, these drug and sex, quote, trafficking charges, but we're using it to leverage influence on Puffy. Again, at this point, we just don't know, but it does follow a pattern where OSA and Scientology control celebrities by using their bad behavior to keep them in line. But it's too early to tell, and the Cuba Gooding Jr. thing is very recent, so we're going to have to see how things unfold. But at this point, it's looking bad for Puffy. With Prince Harry, still a bit of a question mark, but there have always been persistent questions how much Scientology is trying to influence and or control the royal family. And what better way to do that than through a music mogul who perhaps is too arrogant to see how badly he's being manipulated by larger forces.